Board games, board games, it's what I'm talking about. Board games, board games, I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing, and it has been quite a few months, and I hope that you don't have the mumps. Why would I say such a thing? That's quite strange. I don't think there's any reason to think you have the mumps, so that was quite strange. But anyway, board games, it's what I'm talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Hello and welcome to the return of the Bezzy Beats and the briefer Blether. So I've already done like 400 episodes of this show, and the grand episode 400, what an epic thing that was. Yeah, that was amazing. That was fantastic. And hello, Rob. It is lovely to see you. Thank you for joining in. And I'm going to try and keep these shows now to about 30 minutes. That's what I'm going to aim for. It's going to be Bezzy Beats and Briefer Blether. I will aim for 30 minutes. I will just do it in a more lackadaisical way. I'm going to be, if anyone has any questions, then please feel free to do it. There might not be necessarily a big topic. Today's nominal topic is just, this is the return. What are you going to expect? And the what to expect. Rob says it'll never work, as if to say, Bez, you know you talk too long. Bez, you know you can't stop talking. Bez, you know originally you wanted to go for 1 hour, and then it started to be 2 hours, and then it started to be 3 hours, and then you had to rein it back to 1 hour before doing a 25-hour episode finale. Wait, so it was actually 26 hours. But anyway, even when I wanted to do 25 hours, I still went and... Rob. Was it implied, though? That's the question. Was it implied? And I'm assuming it was implied. But regardless, that is what to expect. I will be here. There will be a nominal topic that I might have only decided half an hour earlier. There won't be, some big schedule, but you'll know that I'm here for the next 100 days. Tomorrow, I'm going to be on a train. So it'll be a bit of an adventure. I'm going to try and do it from my phone. It might be even briefer than normal, and hopefully I won't annoy all the other travelers. But yes, that's it. So I guess I could talk about why I decided to come back and why I decided to do this. Let me talk about the show in total. I started it in April, May, June, I don't know, last year. I carried on for 300 episodes without a break. Then I had basically 5 days break between 300 and 310, kind of a 1 day break, then back, then anyway. So after episode 400, I was like, okay, I'm going to have a big proper break. And 400, every 100th episode kind of was a bit of a celebration. So I think like episode 100 was maybe 2 hours, which at that time was long. And then episode 200 was a wee bit longer. And then episode 300, I wanted to do something special. And like, I'll probably end up in a really long episode anyway, like for episode 500. But I enjoy talking. I enjoy chatting to people. But the reason why I started streaming regularly, daily in the first place is because I wanted to have that morning routine. I wanted to have that thing of, okay, Bez, this is the start of your day, punctuate it, talk to some people, and maybe have a conversation. If anyone out there wants to join this show, Then I will be taking guests after the 5th of, let's say, off the 4th might be okay. Basically, I'm not taking guests until after next week. And then, because I've got my Kickstarter to think about. So that's pretty much it. Am I going to keep streaming on Tuesdays? Maybe. I think I'm going to do some sort of... I'm going to do the Playful Shenanigans. I'm going to do the 8 p.m. stream. But I'm not going to do my weekly vlog. Now that's... I can tell you how I am. I'm not going to do the Wednesday testable streams because the LDEC, all of the games have been tested. And if you submitted a game to the LDEC contest, then please let me know if I got the rules right. So that is that. That is the main topic. That's why I am back. That's why I want it to be briefer. I want it to fit in my life. I want it to be something that if I'm at someone's place and it's like, boom, I'm just talking for 20 minutes, which unfortunately happened once when I had Rob himself on the show, which was very unfortunate. And Rob was sadly curtailed. But yeah, it will be just, it's a 20 minutes episode. And so, yeah, that was a thing. People should not expect to tune in at 10:40 and see me live. It is going to be short. When I have a guest on, we might go longer, and I will be open to that. If we're having a good time, then, there are guests that I've spoken to that there have been previous guests I would love to have on again. There have been guests that haven't managed to come onto the BBBB show, which used to be Bezzy Beats and Boardgame Blether, but now it's Bezzy Beats and Briefer Blether. And so, yeah, there's so many people I would love to have on, but I don't need to rush through them. I don't feel like every day has to be a new guest. I am going to be like, okay, Monday, let's play some music. Monday music, boom. Friday, okay, I'll just be outside and talk about whatever. And also, because it's briefer, I could cycle somewhere. I could cycle to the park, to Hampstead Heath, potentially, and then sit there in the bandstand using the Wi-Fi of my phone and then stream from that. So, yeah. Thanks. That is exactly it. Fitting the streams around my life. Now, if I was a bit more organized, then I would have looked through these schedules, but in reality, I only started looking through them at maybe 9:59. But yeah, let's go through some regular things, and hopefully the things from episode 399 still apply. So let's talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. And as always, if you have anything to add in, then please go ahead. Let me know what you've been up to. How have you been? I saw Rob at UK Games Expo. That was cool. So I know you were there because I saw you with my own eyes. Unless that was some figments of my imagination. Unless that was some sort of... there were lots of people who weren't there. What was UK Games Expo like? Let me recap very briefly. UK Games Expo felt safe. Masks and testing. It felt packed. 10,500 people. Far more than I expected. It felt spacious. The halls were wide. And I was constantly busy. Myself and Jason were there basically the entire day. Jason took about 1 hour break each day. I maybe took about half an hour break each day. And Tom was there. Tom Cauldron for a couple of hours in the middle of each day was fantastic. And so we were just showing off things. And also from a personal perspective, I had a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises. I printed 50 copies. I was expecting them to last until the end of the weekend, but it did not. It sold basically in the first day, 9:50 a.m. Look, by the end of Friday, let alone Saturday, I had 5 copies left, and I said to Jason, okay, don't even bother demoing this game tomorrow. And we still sold out by within 50 minutes, the remaining 5 copies. And people came on and said, oh, I played it yesterday. Can I have a copy? And someone later came and said, oh, can I have 5 more copies? And so, yeah, I am going to we will get to the questionably quick questions in a moment, but I am going to say meatball-sized duck as long as I don't feel guilty. Yeah, I'm still going with meatball-sized duck just because science and, unusual. Feels unusual, feels more magical, feels more like, how did this even... Yeah. UK Games Expo was great and lovely to see real, actual human people, says Rob. Almost everyone knew that a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises would sell out quickly, except you, it seems, says Rob. But, I mean, no one told me to print more. I mean, to be fair, people didn't know how many I was printing. But, yeah, so, talking about that, recently I've been doing some promotion and writing for... I actually looked back at which episode was it? 281, Game Jam Kickoff, which 281 back in February shows how I made this game, and it was actually quite fun. I watched it back on double speed, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. How I was so obsessed with the idea of people drawing their own things, and my main reservation was that the content would run out quickly. I don't know if I had understood that I could get double-sided cards, which does increase the amount of content. And so with 80 creatures, you don't have to see the same one too often. I think also it did help once I sat down and really forced myself to make them diverse. But I feel good about all the Kickstarter prep that I'm doing. Actually, no, I don't. I feel anxious. I feel stressed. I feel like I'm way behind. I wanted to write the Board Game Geek Designer Diary like last week, and then on Tuesday it became, okay, Tuesday, Designer Diary. Wednesday, do my mailing list. Thursday, write the Kickstarter framework. Friday, go out and enjoy myself. And now it's kind of like, yeah, I'm still writing that Designer Diary, but I have to do the mailing list and do the thing at some points, and hopefully Eric Martin will still put it on Board Game Geek while it matters for me. I don't know. So, yes. Rob says, knowing they will sell out is different to pushing for more copies to be printed. You need to put money into the project up front. True that. So you have to decide how much you want to invest. Hopefully this will increase your confidence for future similar things, though. I will say that in retrospect, I feel like a game about... Okay, it turns out we're going to talk about a game about wee whimsical creatures. I don't think there's any other recent events or highlights. I've just been focusing on that. Cakes and Ladders is shutting soon, and I've got my ticket to go to KCON, which is a convention in Milton Keynes. I was too late to book the accommodation for Saturday night, but I'm going to go there on Friday morning, which is tomorrow. I'm going to be on the train, and then I will be coming back late on Saturday. And Sunday, I will be back in London. Well, Saturday nights, I'll be back in London. But, yep, that is my recent things. If you've got any recent things, then feel free to share. Let's talk about questionably quick question. If you have any questionably quick questions, then ask now while I talk about a brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? So, recently on Board Game Trading and Chats UK, Big Cock Facebook group, I posed a question which was actually an excerpt from the Board Game Geek Designer Diary, where I say a game is a bunch of rules, agency, and the freedom to opt out, which is currently what I believe, those three things. But it's kind of not just the freedom to opt out, it's also the freedom to choose to do it in the first place. So I guess that is actually worth making it into. So it's a bunch of rules, you have to voluntarily accept them, and then there's some agency, and there's the freedom to opt out. And this was the one part that lots of people on Big Cock disagreed with. They said, oh, well, if people opt out of games at my table, I'm not going to play with them again. Oh, if people stop playing games, then it's not cool to the other people. But I am going to say that opting out of something, stopping playing a game, can be a brilliant thing. Now, I don't want to say this should be the normal thing to do, but if someone has explained rules at this point, I think it's a really good opportunity to say, oh, having understood the rules, I'm knowing where I am right now, because people's energy levels change. People's comprehension levels change at different points in the day, based on their mood, based on the day of the week, based on what's been going on with them recently. And so I think that having that freedom and giving other people the permission to leave the table is a super important thing. Now, this is something that's done a lot in the role-playing community. People all talk about being able to leave, the X card, being able to change the contents. Now, it's not as if board games tend to go on such hostile content. Board games tend not to talk about death and transphobia and really triggering stuff in that same way. But I believe that even so, board games do make certain demands of us, and sometimes we just don't have the energy. And so I think it should be normalized that at some point we start playing a game, and after around maybe we realize that the game is going to go differently. At each point when someone says, do you want to play a game, maybe you sit down at the table and then you hear the rules and you're like, oh, actually, after you heard the rules, that's a good point to possibly leave. Check in. Does everyone still want to play the game? Mid-game, if the game isn't going the way it's expected, if you thought that this was going to be a 20-minute game and now it's lasting 40 minutes, then feel free to put a stop to it. I have done this with a game in the past. Preemptively, I said, yes, I will absolutely play Starflux with you, but can we say that we stop after 40 minutes, no matter what? And everybody else readily agreed to this. We played for about 45 minutes. I said, okay, I really have to go, but I enjoyed the experience. And then everyone was like, yeah, that's fine. And two of the other people were like, yeah, we just wanted to see all the cards. We've not played with this one before. We've been through the entire deck now. And so it was fun. And it emerged that everyone else was actually on a similar level. So I think it's super important to check in with other people, because why are you continuing to play if you're continuing to play? If you're not enjoying it yourself, are other people enjoying it? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Check with them, communicate, and give people permission to leave the table. That is my brilliant thing for today. The freedom to opt out if you need to do it. So, that is that. And thank you very much, Rob. I appreciate the wishes for KCON. And thank you very much, Stream Elements. I am going to do a bit of back and forth stretching. Whoop, whoop. And what's next? Talked about the brilliant thing. Oh yeah, if you want to ask me questions, then comment, ask questions, from like, follow. If you are watching this during the show, then any questions are good. If you're watching this after the show, then I might answer your question in a future show. There we go. So let me write up a wee banner. And I'm just going to copy paste the name of my game because it's long enough that I don't want you to have to hear all the click, click, clacking. So let's talk about a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify in them after someone makes noises. So, yeah, why did it do well? I think that there aren't that many games about just making weird noises. Sure, you could make weird noises in the, that game with Marika Duet, Dixit. So yeah, in Dixit, it just says tell a story. You could make a noise, or you could act or do whatever, but people tend to do words. But having a game that's actually make a noise, and this needs to be a weird noise, I don't know of any game that does that. And I think it becomes a unique core activity, because fundamentally with games, you could look at it saying that, okay, you've got the framework, you've got the core activity, which what is the core activity? Is the core activity, okay, strategizing and calculating and planning for the future? Is the core activity removing blocks and putting them on top of each other? Is the core activity flicking things at a target? Is the core, and that's the core loop. But then the rules of how you win and how you lose, you know, with a strategic game, those rules become more and more intermingled with the core activity for sure. I mean, at the level of Agricola or D Macker, the two become almost inseparable. But for the case of a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises, well, I came up with a cooperative game for that at UK Games Expo, because occasionally one or two people would want to sit down, and then I expanded the cooperative mode on Monday, and it still feels like the same game. I think because that core activity is so unique, dare I say it. It's all good, Rob. I was just chatting about how the freedom to opt out of things is totally brilliant. That's what I was talking about. That was the brilliant thing for today. And we whimsical creatures. Yeah. Just why did it sell out? I'm kind of trying to do a little bit of a post-mortem analysis. And I think that, like Yogi, formerly known as In the Bind, now also available as Yogi Guru, but I don't suggest you buy Yogi Guru. Speaking of which, by the way, I want to do a not-so-humble brag. Like, my game has sold in more than 10 languages just in the past 6 months, which is amazing. But, yeah, so exactly, the core is the making noises and identifying creatures, like making the noises that relate to a thing and identify them. And I think that I saw back when I thought of it, Alex, very sensibly suggested Dixit-style scoring. Maybe if everyone guesses it, you don't get the point. But I went with, no, you want the majority to get it. So if literally everyone gets it, everyone gets a point, including the noisemaker. This game is not incentivizing make a noise that's clear but not too clear. That's not the incentivization. That's not the interesting thing in the game. The interesting thing is make a noise that's as outlandish as possible, that's as extreme as possible. And if I want, this is all retrofitting it after the fact. This wasn't consciously in my mind at the time, but in that 1.5 hours that I devised the core of the game on that Saturday during my game jam, it feels like by allowing people to get the points if everyone gets it, by asking people to get it for the majority, you want it to be clear. If you want it to be clear, you're going to do a ridiculous noise. If there's I feel like I should put up some monsters on the screen now. Hold on for one moment, and I'll do a very, very quick example, even though I am aware that it's 5 minutes until I am my new end time. Why do I not? Oh, there's the creatures. Okay, so let's say you've got this creature. You've got. Whoops, that doesn't. Oh, stop. Okay, let's say you've got this creature, and you've got this creature, and you've got this creature, and you've got this creature. Like, you have 5 normally, but if I want to discern between these 4, okay, let's say it was this one, I would immediately be thinking, okay, I've got to focus on the differences. I've got to focus on the squawk. I've got to go, bah, 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 something like that. And then hopefully people understand this. With this, I've got to focus on the difference, on the tonguiness. I would go, which again, I focus on the difference. What is difference about this? I guess I would do the like tippy tappy of the feet. I guess go, And then for this one, maybe I do. But that's the point. That I am focusing on the differences, and by focusing on, So in Dixit, you could say the picture with the clock in it, and everyone would get it, which would be rubbish. So that's why the scoring is as it is, says Rob. If you're making noises, you can't necessarily be clear until conventions are established in the group. So your scoring makes sense. Yes. And that is the thing that I was originally really worried about. So I was worried that there would be, okay, when there's a fishy creature with any aquatic parts, they will go blub, 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 blub. If there's a creature with not a normal mouth, they go, oh, or something. And then there's a roaring creature, and like people could have certain things. And even now, I do worry that the birds might be a bit too discernible, because for sure, I like the birds being there, and I think that it's good that sometimes you get an easy thing. That's not a big issue, but I do worry, is it too easy? Is it not? Maybe for the new creatures, I'll have a beak and a mouth on the same creature. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe, I'll play around with different mouth shapes, and I might have more really tonguey things, because I think whatever this looks like, that very much determines the play experience. If this kind of noise is funny to make, if this kind of noise is amusing, then I should have more creatures that have tongues in them, right? And Rob says, don't overthink it. I feel like overthinking is a fallacy. As long as you're willing to go with your thing and say, hey, this is, maybe it's right, maybe it's not, but at some point, like, let me just point out, I shouldn't be bad-mouthing my things, but see, this is white, right? This is white. This is off-white, because I drew this on off-white paper, and then I got Chris to do all the scanning in and compositing, and the off-white looks a wee bit different. I actually personally prefer the off-white. Do I change things? Do I try to get the off-white into the white characters because I prefer it? Do I try to get this color removed? No, because yes, it's not perfect, but that's part of the Bezzy budget bag ethos, just being like that. Okay, and 100% agreed, but that's why over the course of the age, anyway, so that's me. I'm going to be running that Kickstarter soon. Oh, I guess I should whimsical. So there is a Kickstarter. If you're not already subscribed, then please go and... Oh, I've got 80 followers. Amazing. So if you're not already subscribed to the Kickstarter, then please check that out. For now, I am going to say goodbye, or I'm going to start winding down. So... Okay, so today I explained what a brief for Blether would be. I briefly talked about UK Games Expo. I talked at length about the ability to opt out and how brilliant it was. And then I talked about a game about wee whimsical creatures and tried to identify them after someone makes noises. If you want to check me out, I'm stuffbybez.com. Stuffbybez.bigcartel.com is where you can buy my stuff. Twitter.com/stuffbybez is where I'm most active. Instagram.com/stuffbybez. I sometimes put pictures there. You know how it works. Twitch.tv/stuffbybez. I'm now streaming every day at 10 a.m. UK time. Same at youtube.com/stuffbybez, where you also find my old episodes. Stuffbybez.com/discord. You can go there. I want to say thank you very much, everyone. I want to say thank you, Rob, for being the audience. Lots of love. I want to say thank you to everyone who's been part of the BBBB show over the course of the... Thank you to everyone who joined my game jam during this, and Alex and Alan Paul and a couple of other people who, and Jess, who all helped me with making a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises. And I'm going to do the regular section. Over to you. What you're up to, you can share, but only if you want to, and only if you do it quickly, because I'm trying to keep this briefly. Anyway, I'll have to work on that rhyme. But while you are talking about whatever you want to share, go to stuffbybez.com/streams. I will sort that out within the next bit. It'll become more and more reliable, but go there for a vague idea of what I'm going to talk about, although I don't have any idea what I'm going to talk about on future streams. Share, spread the word. Should I read? Yep. And lots of love to you too. Lots of love. Rob says, no major plans for the next few days. Doing some work on Scurvy Crew though. I am unfamiliar with Scurvy Crew. I am excited to hear more about it. And yeah, if you want to type a quick, description in the next 30 seconds, then feel free to do so. And yeah, I assume that's one that I have not played. But I hope that everyone out there is excellent, whether you're doing something exciting or boring and you just need to get it done, whether it's something fun and you're like, woo, I get to have this done, or whatever it is. I hope you have a wonderful day. Yep, today I'm just going to be trying to get the work done that I mentioned. Board Game Geek Designer Diary, get that done, get that the bleep done. Then email, then Kickstarter framework, then even if I've not done that, 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. I am going to be going out for a few hours of relaxation with a friend to Cakes and Ladders, which is shutting. Signed with Brain Crack. Awesome. Congratulations. Lovely people, Lewis and Emily Shaw. It's a pirate card and board game that now has interesting character progression stuff. Awesome. So is this your second published game? I imagine that Brain Crack will get it a few more copies and stuff done, because I don't really remember anything from your first, the Gift Misses one. But that's that. Lots of love. And I know this is against Twitch etiquette, but for now, I am just going to say one last thing. And that last thing is going to be, you will have to tell me that full story, because I think some other time, because I think I'm missing it. But lots of love, so much love. Oh, Friday is still going to be Friendly Friday Forum. So Friday, anyone who comes in, just talk about whatever you want to talk about. For now, bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. And bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go and do other things, because there are other things in lives than just streaming. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day.